So Xbox Game Pass alongside summer is absolutely heating up. We have 7 confirmed games for June and beyond. Not only that, but we have some big titles headed our way that might come this summer or potentially in the fall or winter of 2022. All the games on this list today are completely confirmed for Xbox Game Pass. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up so we find more Xbox gamers out there. With that, before we get started, this video is sponsored by Opera GX, and this is the world's first browser specifically for gamers and hardcore gamers like us who like having the most optimum quality and control we can have. GX Control gives us that with the power of using a CPU limiter or even a RAM limiter, especially when you're getting in a session with State of Decay 2 and you need that extra juice towards your game. There's also a network limiter so you can keep your optimal settings for the best online play. But what is really neat is the fact that you can even run Discord, Twitch, or even things like Twitter within this browser, really limiting the amount of pesky apps and pages you need to keep open on your PC. But my favorite thing to do with Opera GX is play State of Decay 2 with xCloud directly in this awesome browser and experience that intensity of surviving the apocalypse, all with the magic of directly playing through Opera GX and xCloud. Let's also talk about GX Player that plays your playlist from Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube Music in the background while getting in a gaming session with State of Decay 2. And finally, let's talk the newest feature like Opera GX now available via mobile, a great way to continue the awesome perks that you get, even GX Corner, all with the touch of your phone. Opera GX is truly an incredible browser for us gamers. Join me by downloading Opera GX and using it as your main browser by clicking that link in the description or in the comments. Doing so supports the channel and it's completely free to use. You guys have nothing to lose by doing this. Give it a shot, and special thanks to Opera GX for being today's sponsor. All right, we're going to go in order from release date, starting here with For Honor. This is coming on to Game Pass here soon, and this is a pretty deep action swordplay type of game featuring a full story campaign that if you want to dive into, you certainly can. But where the game really shines is in its brutal online PvP modes. The action here gets insane, fun, and super destructive. There is 18 heroes to choose from and 18 maps, and the PvP modes do come in ranked form with thousands of gear combinations that you'll be choosing from. This one does hit Game Pass on June 1st. So true to the Assassin's Creed franchise and the 10th installment, we have Assassin's Creed Origins. This is bringing on a full story that's a little more serious compared to other stories in the franchise like Odyssey, but it's still a great one. There is multiple quests, gripping stories you'll be following, and of course you're going to be facing tough bosses and collecting loot and progressing your character. This is one of the awesome Assassin's Creed games in this franchise, and this hits Game Pass on June 7th. So Shadowrun Trilogy is making its way onto Game Pass, featuring all the Shadowrun titles to have dropped in the past decade. If you guys want a cyberpunk fantasy story mixed with some decent turn-based action, fun tactical RPG elements, I really think you're in for a treat here. The main draw to this franchise is mostly the story and the unique setting based on the older titles from the NES and the Sega Genesis days that I'm personally very fond of. The cool part here is the games aren't super long, so if you want something deep but not too long of a playthrough for an RPG, I really think you'll enjoy the Shadowrun Trilogy. So Escape Academy has you figuring out escape rooms. You can play this single or co-op, and yeah man, you're going to be solving puzzles, hacking services, and going through multiple rooms. You won't wait long for this one. This one is set to hit Game Pass later this June. So Matchpoint Tennis is making its way onto Game Pass, where the focus of this title is realism, with things like your positioning and aiming and authentic ball physics and character animation. So if you're a big fan of tennis, this is going to be your jam. It also features 16 real-life tennis stars you'll be going up against, and the career mode in this game is absolutely deep. You can do it with your own creative player, and the game will have full couch co-op and online modes if you're wanting to play against other people. If you're looking for a deep tennis title, this one hits Game Pass on July 7th. Finally, here for the summer games, we have a 2 Point Campus from the makers of 2 Point Hospital. And well, it's essentially a simulation city builder type of title, where you'll be building up a university from scratch, from the buildings, the roads, the benches. You can even build clubs, gigs, and even societies. I mean, this game gets super deep, but even as you're building everything up, you can actually see your students interacting with everything you make and build, and you even get to know their personalities on a personal level, and you'll see them exploring your campus. For me, this is a game I'm absolutely looking forward to, and it hits Game Pass on August 9th. Now, potentially what could be the best co-op game to drop in 2022, Warhammer 40,000 Darktide is from the developers and award-winning franchise Vermintide. This game features 4-player co-op action that has you fighting hordes of enemies, upgrading your gear, and choosing skill sets that you are going to enjoy playing the most. This year they are claiming a new evolved combat, which is really interesting because I personally really enjoyed Vermintide myself. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. This is almost like a Left 4 Dead type of game, only in a fantasy setting, and this game is quite a bit more deeper than that. This one is set to hit Game Pass on September 13th. Alright guys, with that, we're going to go quickly running through what I feel are some of the biggest games confirmed for Game Pass that are coming in 2022. We don't have dates on these, but they are supposed to come sometime this year, potentially even this summer. Now, we're going to start this off with a game that I admit might potentially be delayed for reasons that I'm not going to go deep into, but as far as I know, this is still confirmed for this year in Stalker 2, actually the end of the year, and you'll be discovering the vast open apocalyptic area of Chernobyl. There will be deadly anomalies, powerful items you'll be collecting, and you really drive the story in this survival game as your choices will matter and determine your fate in the very end. This is one of my most hyped games for this year, and I really think that you should pay attention to this one if it does end up dropping later in December. So we have an Xbox exclusive, As Dusk Falls, as you exploring the story of two families across 30 years starting in 1998 with a robbery gone wrong. There's going to be secrets you're going to be uncovering, and of course you as the player are controlling a lot of this narrative. The choices that you make will actually set the path of what's happening in this game. It's actually so different that the stories will never play the same if you play multiple times, and you will see vastly different outcomes for all the characters. If you haven't had this on your radar, I absolutely think you should, and it is headed to Game Pass, I think actually very soon, so stay tuned for coverage of this one. Now, Scorn is an atmospheric first-person horror adventure, and this one is sure to give you some chills. The game contains a big story, puzzles, and of course areas you'll be discovering filled with secrets, enemies, weapons, and even acquiring different skill sets. Inventory and ammo management are going to play a huge part in this game, making your choices in the moment really matter. This hits Game Pass sometime in 2022. So A Plague Tale Requiem is the sequel to the award-winning A Plague Tale Innocence. This is set to hit Game Pass this year, and I'm not going to spoil the story if you haven't played the first one, but let me tell you guys, this is a game to really sink your teeth into. This game's going to be no different in the sequel in that regard. Also coming with Requiem is, stunning visuals. Just look at the gameplay of this. It looks incredible. It's an action adventure game that could potentially be Game of the Year, and honestly, it's easy to see why. This does hit Game Pass this year, and let me tell you guys, I am hella excited for this one. Jump into Slime Rancher 2. This is the sequel to the first original game that ended up being a pretty big smash hit. It saw millions of players enjoy that one, but Slime Rancher 2 comes in with an island that's going to have you discovering its secrets, building up your own ranch and farm, and of course exploring and slime ranching yourself. It's a beautiful and colorful game. The awesome part about this, it's going to be headed to Game Pass near you this year. Finally guys, we have Flintock: The Siege of Dawn. This is a title that to me looks like it has lots of promise. It's a new action open world RPG. It's actually from the makers of Ashen, so you can expect a Souls-like experience. At the moment, I really couldn't find any gameplay of this, but Ashen was a decent game. This honestly looks like the leveled up version of it, so easily one of my most excited games headed to Game Pass this year, and I'm always up for a Souls-like experience. With that guys, click the video on the top left if you guys want to know the best Game Pass games you should play in 2022.